Book 9 just hit, and you know what that means? It's time for December refines. That's right, some of your old favorites are getting a lot better. Let's start off with Halloween Grima. So we have a unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range, we have distant counter, we have dragon adaptive damage, and then if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, she's going to inflict attack, defense, and res -5 on the foe. She's going to have deep wounds, which is pretty good, considering that she gets 50% healing whenever her special triggers, so that got upgraded from 30%, nice upgrade there. She's also going to get plus 10 true damage when her special triggers, and she's going to get full damage reduction piercing. So that's also a really big effect you do need as a tank, so you can secure those kills. Then when we get to the actual refine, she's going to get slaying, which is really nice as well. She's going to give a nice support effect of attack, defense, and res +4 to allies within 2 spaces. Now this is the cool part, she's actually going to give out scowl support. So this is similar to like Veil, right, or Fallen Veil. Fallen Veil is a little bit better, but base Veil is exactly the same, where it does a res check. If you meet that res check, you're going to get a scowl effect. So that's pretty cool there, giving her some nice support there. And then again, once again, she's going to have the HP condition of 25%, and then she'll inflict attack, defense, and res -X on the foe, where you're going to look at her visible resistance stat at start of combat, +5. She's going to reduce damage from the foe's attack by 20% of her resistance during combat, not working with AoEs. And then lastly, she'll also give scowl to herself as well. So overall, how good is this refine? Now, I think this refine is pretty decent. I think if Grima was actually an armor instead of a flying unit, it'd probably be a lot better. Now, as a flying unit, she does have some weaknesses, one of them being like bows and things like that. Her preference skill does cover this weakness technically. The problem is that her preference skill is pretty outdated, and it's not going to get a remix. So while you can go with that option, it does remove her bow weakness. You are losing like overall because you are having like a really good A skill. So it's kind of a trade-off you have to make. Either way, she can be a pretty solid tank, as she can use, essentially, she's not using Breath of Life, but she does have a ton of healing, and she has ways to get around Veil of Smoke, which is a big deal as well. She's going to get that piercing, which she really needs, and she's also offering some pretty good support. As a flying unit, she does get access to some nice skills like Guidance and Soaring Guidance, Rain Snap as well. So, like, she definitely has some great options. I just don't think this is enough to make her, like, some crazy Omni tank, which is the role she really wants to play. I think she can definitely work with enough investment and the right skills, but she doesn't have access to like the ultimate premium skills, and she does have some major weaknesses such as dragon effectiveness and possibly bow weaknesses as well on top of that. But overall, I do think this is a solid refine. Definitely makes her a lot more usable and does make her have some unique support, only sharing it with Veil, so that is pretty cool. With that said, let's move on to our next refine. Let's talk about Solon. So, Solon, we have Banshee. At start of turns 3 and 4, you inflict a visible attack and speed, defense, and resistance -7 on the foe, gravity, guard, and flash on the closest foe within 5 spaces of the unit through their next actions. And then also, if the foe initiates combat, or if they meet the HP condition of 75% or more, you're going to inflict a penalty on their attack and resistance stat equals the number of penalty effects active on them, excluding any stat penalties, +6. You get 20% true damage based off your resistance. And then at start of player or enemy phase, you'll inflict attack and res -7 as a visible debuff, and sabotage on foes with res less than units res that are within 2 spaces of each other. So nice little debuff there. And once again, HP condition of 25%. He'll inflict another attack and res -6 during combat. He'll neutralize bonuses to attack and res during combat, so like a nice little dole effect there. And then lastly, he'll get guaranteed fall protect. While Grima's refine was overall pretty solid, Solon's is pretty trash. I'm not gonna lie. The one thing that really makes Solon unique is the starting effects, right? Being able to put gravity, guard, and flash on the foe is really great. The problem is it's only on turns 3 and 4, which is beyond limiting. Like, not only is that just bad because like you have to wait till turns 3 and 4, which is just forever in some game modes, but the fact that it's just not consistent and it's only in that small period of time. It also doesn't spread, right? It's only on the closest foe. So if you have one unit, if it just absorb it, it's not that big of a deal. If it's spread, it would be a lot more debilitating, which would be big. Other than that, like, there's just not much here, right? Like, you get some true damage, you get a little bit of damage, you get guaranteed fall protect, cool. You get sabotage support, which is okay, but like, we have lots of forms of sabotage support now, and we even have skills that give out sabotage. So it's just not much. Like, this unit really needed to have that condition removed. I think if they would have just made it so that it was every single turn, he would definitely have some like play. Like, there would be a spot for it to use him. He still wouldn't be like meta defining, but he would have a role to play in the meta. But as it is right now, this unit is just complete and utter garbage in my opinion. There's no reason to build him. You're going to be able better off just with like a majority of any other support units, and they're going to work a lot better and every turn, which is definitely a big point you want. So with that bad refine out of the way, let's move over to one that's actually kind of crazy. So we have another Three Houses character, Catherine with Thunderbrand. This is going to grant speed +3, and at start of turn, if her HP is greater than or equal to 25%, she's going to give out a visible attack and speed +6 a bonus, and treachery. That's right, treachery to herself and allies within 2 spaces. And then if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 50%, she'll get all stats +5, she'll get full no follow-up, and she'll get desperation. So nice little upgrade there from getting just offensive NFU to full NFU. And then her refine itself, if she initiates combat or if there's an ally within 2 spaces, she'll get another round of +5 to all stats during combat. She'll neutralize her own penalties to attack and speed. She'll get 20% true damage based off her speed during combat, not with AoEs. And then if she meets a speed requirement, she'll get potent follow-up attack. That's actually really, really cool. And so overall, this is a pretty cool refine. Now, the thing is that the top part of the refine is actually completely cracked. Right, being able to give out attack and speed +6 and treachery to allies is really good. Treachery is a very, very powerful effect. The problem is that Catherine herself is like a melee nuke, and so it's not like the best combination. Typically, you want less on like a ranged nuke, so you can kind of chill in the back and give out this buff. But as a melee nuke, it's still really good, but like it's trying to figure out where to put her on the team, because essentially melee nukes are much better than they were before. The problem is like the premier melee nuke I'm sure you're aware of is Emblem Sigurd and Brave Felix, right? And so when you're competing between these 2 units, she just does not really compare. First of all, she doesn't have slaying, which is a really big deal because she doesn't have like DR having or DR piercing in her weapon, which means she has to run something like a tempo skill in her B slot to get that, or she needs to run no quarter. And if she's running no quarter, without slaying, that's really, really rough. You're pretty much gonna have to run like a Marth ring and then some kind of like acceleration or like some kind of times pulse or something like that to make it consistent. And that's kind of already a big deal because that means like if she's using Marth ring and she needs some kind of acceleration, right? Because she has desperation, so she's gonna hit once with the acceleration, then proc no quarter. That's a big deal already because it means she's not running the Celica ring, which is one of the big things that makes Felix just so incredibly toxic. And also, she just doesn't have all the other things that Felix necessarily has, like the extra actions and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's a big deal. I definitely think she will be a good unit overall. Like, she has the true damage to hit pretty hard. Potent follow-up attack lets her hit harder as well, right? Getting 3 attacks in instead of 2 with that desperation is a big deal and can help her proc no quarter. A lot of times that no quarter will be on the weaker attack, which isn't the best. Treachery support is like really the big thing here and her claim to fame. The question is like, can we find a place to fit her onto teams to take advantage of that treachery? That will be the big question. But overall, pretty solid refine. I do wish it had a brave attack, like kind of like, you know, 3 houses, but either way, I'm overall pretty happy. Okay, let's move on to Duessel. So we have Obsidian Lance that grants defense +3 and enables Canto 2. Nice little upgrade there. At start of combat, if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, or if the number of allies adjacent to Duessel is less than or equal to 1, he'll inflict attack defense -6 on the foe during combat. He'll get a guaranteed follow-up attack, and he'll reduce the foe's damage by 20% of his defense during combat, but not including AoEs. Now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. For all foes within 3 rows of 3 columns centered on him, he's going to inflict attack and defense -5. He's going to neutralize bonuses to attack and defense on those foes. He's going to neutralize special acceleration, and those foes cannot make a follow-up attack. So this is kind of like an Ashnard effect, right? Or like maybe even a Seth effect, we could call it. Giving out some really powerful support overall, while also getting those effects for himself as well, which is really good. So very nice support there. And then at start of combat, if his HP is going to go 25%, he'll inflict another attack and defense -6 on the foe during combat. He'll get 20% true damage based off his defense, and he'll heal 7 HP after combat. This is a pretty solid refine. It pretty much does everything that Duessel was doing before, but much, much better, while also offering some pretty good support. Now, when it comes to the support itself, it's not as good as like a unit like Seth, which is funny to say, right? Because Seth 2 is a free-to-play unit. He's a 4-star, but his refine is just completely cracked, right? And that refine is definitely going to be better than Duessel's, but Duessel will probably be a more tanky and better unit in combat. So that's kind of the trade-off you're making. He's also a cav versus a flyer. Flyers tend to be better when it comes to support roles. That is something to consider. But Duessel himself is going to be very, very tanky, right? He's inflicting attack and defense -17 on the foe, which is a massive daunt. And he's also just doing a lot of things to just stop them from getting their specials off, from getting them guaranteed follow-up attacks, right? Like, he's going to be able to be really tanky and hit pretty solidly. The problem is when it comes to like cav units in the meta, they need to have forward movement and they need to be able to like kill things really convincingly, and Duessel really won't be doing that. He's more like a support tank unit more than like a support nuke unit. You can get the 4 movement from Sigurd rings. That's definitely going to probably be his best ring overall. And I think if you want to make use of Duessel, he definitely can work and be a lot of fun and be just ultra tanky. But I don't know how effective he's going to be in like those meta roles. I think he might struggle a little bit there. But overall, really cool refine for Duessel, definitely a big upgrade for him overall, and makes him a pretty good unit. Let's move on to the final unit of this refined batch, Merlinus. That's right. Now, Merlinus has been a bit of a meme since he came out because he has like one of the lowest, if not the lowest, base attack stat in the game at 20. He just doesn't really do much, right? So Merlinus is kind of like a joke. You'll see people trying to make like showcases just like show off, but overall he hasn't been all that great. But now we have Convoy Dagger. What this does is it grants HP plus 5, and he gets global warping with no condition. That's right, no condition whatsoever. He can teleport to any ally, a space adjacent to any ally on the entire map with no condition whatsoever. That is actually crazy cool. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, but there's anti-warping Oblivion. Yeah, we've been doing that for a while, right? Pretty much this year has been the worst because we have like Myr and now we have Barricade. Either way, there's ways to get around that, right? And having global warping is really, really powerful. Now the question is, what else does Merlinus really do, right? So if he's within 3 space of an ally, he'll inflict attack speed -6 on the foe during combat. He'll deny their follow-up attack. He'll do the dagger 7 as usual. And then if the foe initiates combat or the foe's HP is greater than 75%, he'll get another round of attack and speed -6 on the foe during combat. He'll get 40% damage reduction during combat, but not AoEs. And then this is the cool part. If he uses a rally or movement assist skill, he's going to give out attack and speed +6 as a visible bonus, bonus doubler, and neutralizes penalty on unit during combat to the target ally and any allies within 2 spaces of that ally for 1 turn. Does not affect him though, notably. Now this is where things get interesting. So you essentially have this really cool support unit who can warp anywhere, can give out these bonuses, and I think that's pretty great. Now the thing is like, can you get around anti-warping? Technically, you can just run past in his B slot, and he'll be fine, right? He's not really a strong nuke even with this refine, so his ability to kill things is pretty questionable overall. I'm sure somebody will do it. I'm sure I'll wake up to his Shadow video, and he's like killing, I don't know, Nidhogger with Merlinus or something like that. But either way, I think you can run past, and the thing is now is that there's a lot of these new assist plus skills kind of, right? You have things like Reposition Gate, which he can't use, but you also have things like Shadow Shift or the new C skill on Rearmed Layla, right? Which allow you to have these extra actions of like assisting and movement, right? And so I think that could be really good on Merlinus, because what you essentially could do is have a unit go in, kill something, right? Have Merlinus warp in, do a reposition, Shadow Shift, reposition again, and then like be out of the way essentially, right? So you could do some like crazy hit and run with Merlinus. You could also do like the new swap thing with Layla's new C skill. And I'm just sure someone's going to figure something out, right? I don't know what it is quite yet. It's been a long night. But I'm sure someone's going to figure out a way to break Merlinus where he just does crazy, stupid, annoying things. And is just hilarious while doing it, right? And when it comes to his actual support, it's pretty solid overall as well, right? Some visible stats, bonus doubler, and neutralize penalty are all pretty good bonuses. So I think Merlinus might actually be pretty good. Now, when it comes to like him being meta relevant, I don't think that will happen, but I do think he has a chance of like being a niche meta unit. Like someone's gonna figure out a strat where he's just really good if it's like Aether Raid's offense. Maybe it's an Aether Raid's defense where he just warps in and like does some crazy nonsense. I don't know, but I think there will be something. So I have high hopes for Merlinus, and all you creative people out there who can create some like crazy strategy, definitely DM it to me. I want to see it. I know it's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, with that said, let's move on to the final part of the video. Who won the Refine War of December? In S tier, I'm going to have Merlinus. Now, this is half meme, half true. I feel like there's a chance, like I was saying, Merlinus is just going to pop off in some really weird way no one predicted. So I'm going to put him in S tier, kind of jokingly, kind of like, oh man, I can't wait to see what this unit does. In A tier, we're going to have Duessel, Grima, and Catherine. All of them got solid refines overall, making them better at what they were already doing, while offering some cool support as well, such as like the Scow, the Treachery, and all the nice things that Duessel does as well. And then all the way down in D tier, we're going to have Solon. I think Solon's just kind of garbage. Like, there's really no reason to use him or build him. He's so, like, gimmicky at best, and it's not even that great of a gimmick. So I just think Solon's completely trash and easily the worst refine of this batch. And with that said, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these refines do you love? Which refines are you going to be using? What kind of builds are you going to be running on these units? I'd love to hear about, so make sure to drop a comment down below letting me know. As always, I'd like to thank all my members for their constant support. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later with more Merlinus shenanigans.